Generally, we New Yorkers try to get along. Of course, we have gone through periods where tensions and differences boil over, and we need to take stock at how we are doing. I submit this is one of those moments. We've witnessed too many acts of hate and hate violence in New York City, both protected and unprotected. We need to address this escalating pattern. In February 2004, in Staten Island, the Daily News reported, and I quote, "A man was bashed in the head with a metal bat by a stranger who called him a, quote, dirty Jew after confronting him. The man attacked was wearing a yarmulke. Muslim women wearing hijabs have been physically attacked. In some cases, the attacker has attempted to remove the hijab. During COVID, and more recently, attackers assaulted Asian men and women, telling them to go back where they come from. Too many women, including a 13-year-old girl, accompanied by her mother, on a recent Saturday afternoon at Grand Central Station, was punched in the face by a man for no apparent reason. Manifestations of stereotyping, prejudice, and bigotry, revealing racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, unfortunately continue. We gather here today to attempt to discuss hate and hate violence. How does it occur? Why does it occur? Can we realistically ameliorate it? And if yes, can we reach a consensus on an action plan? We're not here just to talk. That is, I submit, our challenge today. We must speak up in opposition to hate and hate violence. Otherwise, our silence can be interpreted as condoning hate and hate violence. Let me conclude with the following story. It was a Sunday morning, September 15th, 1963, at Birmingham, Alabama's 16th Street Baptist Church, where four African-American girls, Adie Mae Collins, age 14, Denise McNear, age 11, Kara Robinson, age 14, and Cynthia Wesley, age 14, died as a result of a horrific church bombing. My mentor, Charles Morgan, a Birmingham civil rights lawyer, was scheduled to speak the next day at the Birmingham Young Men's Business Club. In his speech, he condemned the specific act, but also focused on the people of Birmingham and the climate that fostered this despicable act to have taken place. Mr. Morgan said in part, and I quote, every person in this community who has in any way contributed to the popularity of hatred is at least as guilty as the demented fool who threw the bomb. Who did it? Who threw the bomb? The answer should be, we all did it. There is a time to speak. There's a time to act. Now I submit it is our moment in New York City to come together. People of goodwill, you all, to begin to build bridges across racial, religious, ethnic, gender, sexual orientation, and economic lines to develop and implement a citywide campaign to abate hate. Hopefully, today we can achieve that goal. We will have and we will hear presentations from many speakers. Then we will discuss the presentations with the aim of determining by 3:30 this afternoon whether we can reach a consensus on an action plan that might consist of the following: town hall meetings conducted by the City Human Rights Commission and the State Human Rights Commission. People from both of those agencies are here this afternoon, with the assistance of New York City civil rights and social justice groups. Second, can we get the community boards, all 59 in the city, conducting hate and hate violence forums? Third, can we get the churches, the synagogues and mosques to conduct hate and hate violence forums? And finally, can we get the block associations and the tenants associations conducting similar hate and violence forums? And again, thank you all for being here today. Now, it gives me great pleasure. First, I want to thank the mayor for believing that this is an issue that is of critical importance to the city. I want to thank him for sponsoring this and thanking him for encouraging us to speak up and be in opposition to all forms of intolerance. So now it's a great pleasure to introduce to you my longtime friend, who is now the 110th mayor of the city of New York, Eric Adams. Good to see you, man. Go get him.
Thank you so much, Norman, and really thank all of you for taking the time to come out this morning to have what I believe is one of the most important conversations and discussions we could have, not only in the city, but throughout the entire country. I want to thank my Commissioner of Human Rights, Commissioner Palmer, who's here to show just how serious this matter is to all of us. Many years ago, when I was a younger man, I played JV football at the beginning for Bayside High School. And we had an amazing coach there, Coach Nelson. And if you know of the history of high school sports in the city of New York, you know that Bayside had one of the most formidable varsity teams in the country. I tried out for the JV. I never was able to make that, and I didn't even make the varsity. But we started losing season after season. And Coach Nelson brought the team together and stated that it's time to go back to basics. We saw the success throughout the years, but it's time to just learn how to run again, how to throw again, how to pass again, how to catch again, how to be a team again. And I believe that's where we are right now, not only as a city, but as a country and possibly as humanity. We have been engulfed in all of the things in our successes, from AI to computer technology to our ability to solve major problems, from quantum computers to EV vehicles, all of these things that we have invested in and continue to evolve. But we have not evolved in kindness. We have not evolved in the hate that we're seeing. And in fact, it has been hidden under the surface, and it has engulfed us as a human race. And it's time for us to pause for a moment and have a true reflection on where are we going and what does the future looks like. Hate has become so pervasive and comfortable, and we have normalized hate. And if we're honest with ourselves, in some way we all have a role to play in it, as I think Norman eloquently pointed out, as in the church bombing. And I had to ask myself, as I said to my colleagues over and over again, what was my role? What did I do to contribute to some of the hate that we're seeing? When I sit down with my staffers that are Jewish, they state they're afraid to ride the subway trains. They're afraid to move about the city. They have to take off their yarmulkes before entering a place. And then I sit down with my Muslim brothers and sisters, and I hear the women tell me they have to remove their hijab because they are attacked. They are afraid to go to their mosque. When you do an analysis, we have a 79% increase in attacks and hate crimes against Jewish residents and double the number of attacks against Muslims. Our Sikh brothers and sisters are under attack merely for wearing a turban. If you look at our LGBTQ plus communities, you're seeing the levels of violence towards them as well. There is no community that escapes the hate that we're seeing. It is almost as though hate has become the modern day COVID that is moving throughout our city and country and the globe at a pace that is alarming. And it's almost as we may feel sometimes, what can we do? Let's throw up our hands. I say no. I say let's go back to the basics. Let's learn how to shake hands again. Let's learn how to smile at each other again. Let's learn how to hold the door for each other again. Let's learn how to have a decent conversation with each other again, and don't look to prove someone is wrong. Let's be a deep listener so we can understand, so we can be understood. And let's understand as human beings, there's nothing written in our anatomy that state we must agree all the time. What we must not do is be disagreeable. I was so happy to stand near the councilman, minority leader, when we responded to the attempt to take former President Trump's life. And he said something that really resonated with me, and I say over and over again, it's okay to be angry. It's not okay to hate. Anger motivates us to change. Anger motivates us to want to do something different. I was angry that I was undiagnosed dyslexic and did not get the support that I needed, but it motivated me to do dyslexia screening in our schools. I was angry that mom did not get the food that she deserved to feed the family. Instead, it feeded the chronic diseases that were pervasive in our community. But it motivated me to have healthy foods in our schools. Motivation through anger can allow us to do some very important things, but hate is to destroy. And what we are seeing is hate. We're seeing hate through social media that's spreading and really has become the Trojan horse among our children. They sit in their bedrooms, in the basements, in their classrooms, and being fed with algorithms that are having major impacts on their emotional and their mental stability, in some cases their physical stability. We're seeing many of our tabloids and papers and podcasts and radio shows is finding that if we could say the most harmful things, we would get the most attention. It has driven us to see who could be as hateful and as shocking as possible. And we're watching it in our schools, in our college campuses. We're watching it in our place of businesses. There's no longer any filter on how do we say things in a very polite manner. People are looking to make you feel painful and to hurt. And that is becoming what is driving all of us. And I'm going to do my part. Last year, we did something called Breaking Bread, Building Bonds, 1,000 dinners across the city. At each dinner table was 10 people that came from a different ethnic, religious, or cultural background. And they did something revolutionary. They talked to each other. They shared a conversation. They talked about what it is to be a Sikh, what it is to be a Muslim, what it is to come from the Caribbean or the African diaspora. And they left the room becoming ambassadors for love instead of ambassadors for hate. And all of those small things are the basic principles that will allow us to win again. We're far from being perfect as a country or as a city or as a human being. In fact, I say we're perfectly imperfect. But there's a level of dedication that we could bring to this conversation. And this is the beginning point. And I take my hat off to Norman when he called me. This was so important. And it tugged at me what I watched, what is playing out, not only in the Gaza now, but what has played out on October 7th and what's playing out in the Sudan and what is playing out in Haiti, what is playing out in the west coast of Africa and what's playing out with Hezbollah, what's playing out in South and Central America. You're seeing the level of hatred that I have never witnessed in my lifetime. And if we do not do what we're doing today, gather in our local gatherings, in our precinct council, in our block association, our civic meetings, in our mosques, our synagogues, our Buddhist temples, our Sikh temples, on our job spaces, if we don't become intentional and focus on the dismantling of hate, then we'll never be the champions that we once were. This is the greatest country on the globe. No other place is dream attached to its name. That dream should not be a nightmare that is rooted in hate. I am committed, and your presence here today tell me that you are committed. And I'm excited about what the future holds as we start the process of uniting our city, and it cascades throughout our entire country, and I think it cascades throughout the entire globe. It starts here in New York, one of the most diverse places on the globe. If we can live together in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island, then we can live together across the 7 continents of the globe. Thank you very much, Norman.
Okay, the next part of the program, we're going to have 8 individuals who are going to come up here